I'm Hat,
I'm Specs.
and this is
Weekly Nerd News.
So, my name is August Schaller, and this is the first episode of our show. This is Matt Anderson,
AKA Specs, obviously.
and I'm Hat. So, this is basically going to be an every week Friday show that'll come out probably at night, and it's going to be, I think, pretty good.
I would say so, yeah.
We're going to talk about up-and-coming movies, comic
Specs.
books, and this is
Video games,
etc. And today we're going to be talking about Godzilla. I just wanted to get to that. I think we should say a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think we should.
So, obviously, I just said that. My name is August. And I am really into superheroes. Like, it's a little creepy how much I'm into superheroes and such.
Ain't that the truth?
But I really love movies and just movies as a whole, except for horror. I can't stand horror.
That, on the other hand, is where I come in. Because you see, I am a huge horror movie nerd, and I'm also really into sci-fi stuff. You know, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, etc.
And I've never seen Star Trek or Star Wars. Bring on the hate comments. Yeah, bring it on.
You poor little fool.
But I'm a huge Whovian. Can't live without Doctor Who. And you'll notice people are just walking by. You might be wondering why.
Sorry about that.
The reason is we are students at a school, so
Yeah, I mean, I'm only like 17.
I'm
so.
only 15. And so we film in the hallway of our school, but I think it'll still suffice. Yeah.
And if need be, we can just edit everything out.
Yeah, true. So I think we've covered the basis of who we are and what we're doing.
So now let's get into one thing that I'm pretty sure is on everybody's mind today.
Gojira!
What he said. I mean,
So I really hope people who are watching this know who Godzilla is, but
because if you don't, I will reach out at the screen of your computer and I will smack you back and forth across the face.
I mean, he's been around since 1954.
60 flipping years, people.
Fun fact about Godzilla, many people do not know his original origin story. In fact, a lot of people think he was a lizard that got blasted by radiation, but
That's honestly what I thought.
really, he was actually a dinosaur. He was, according to his origin story made by the guy who wrote the original concept in the 50s. He was a dinosaur who survived the apocalypse, I guess, and lived on an island, which was then used as a testing ground for nuclear waste and warheads.
Yeah, I actually had heard something about that.
Talking about the desert?
Yeah.
I'd actually heard about that in one of the older Godzilla movies. I'd heard about that. Something about how he was, and honestly, I think in the other American version, the one that we don't talk about, they were kind of playing that angle up a lot more. He looked a lot more like a dinosaur.
The guy who was directing it wanted to be like Jurassic Park.
Now, I mean, to be fair, he did have one really good movie with Independence Day.
That's true.
Roland Emmerich. And
He does
besides,
really good disaster movies.
yeah, and besides,
but
Jurassic Park had just come out, so people were still trying to milk the Jurassic Park market for all it was worth.
that's true, and so I will give him some leniency, but still,
you
though,
gotta admit,
it's one of the
and you
worst
gotta-
movies I've ever seen.
And you still got to give it a couple points because it did have some really creative advertising.
I'll give you that. It has creative advertising, but I feel like it just
Honestly,
it ruined it. Like it was.
honestly, I think the biggest flaw in that movie was that it carried the name Godzilla. Because I mean,
They could have called it a totally different name,
And
and no one would have questioned it.
yeah, I mean, if they had just called it something completely different and just had like a giant lizard tearing apart a city, I mean, yeah, people would have been like, they're ripping off Godzilla, but they wouldn't have really questioned it that much.
They could have called it Tyrant Rex or something.
Yeah, they could have just done that. And I mean, yeah, people would have been like, they're ripping off Godzilla, but it wouldn't have been so bad.
It would have been much better. Yeah.
But no,
But
they
You mean
had,
Gojira?
they were so
Yes, Gojira.
anxious. But no,
That was the original.
Roland Emmerich and TriStar Pictures were so anxious for the big payday that, to quote, I forget who it was from Jurassic Park, before they even knew what they had, they patented it, they packaged it, and they slapped the label on the lunchbox.
Yeah, I know what you mean. in fact, it was actually, there was so much outrage in Japan, they included it in the 50th year anniversary.
Oh
movie
yeah,
of
I heard
Godzilla,
about that. And
Godzilla Final Wars.
Yeah, and they had the American version of Godzilla get his ass kicked. It was hilarious.
It basically went like this. Our version of Godzilla was teleported by aliens. Long story, I'm not going to give you the plot of the movie. You're going to have to watch it yourself, you lazy bums.
Yep.
Basically, he gets teleported to Tokyo, or yeah, it was
someplace.
It
somewhere
matter.
in Japan. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. Our Godzilla gets teleported there, and their Godzilla basically beats the crap out of it. Our Godzilla jumps, and then curb stomp and laser breath.
Yep.
So.
I actually heard once that one of the things in one of the other Godzilla movies, they actually kind of referenced it, where it was like they said something about how the Americans had a problem with Godzilla before, and
then they
said
laughed.
Something like,
yeah.
It's like at least that's what the American experts claim, or something like that. And they actually they've actually got and over in Japan they actually have a name for the 1998 Godzilla. They just call him Zilla.
Mm-hmm. That's true. They had to limit themselves.
Yeah,
even
because it wasn't even worthy of God.
No.
But I really think that this new one is basically going to be everything that Roland Emmerich's 1998 version should have been. I mean, think about it. You've got no Roland Emmerich.
That's true.
And you got no bad CGI, and perhaps the most important part, no Matthew Broderick.
Plus, they replaced him with Bryan Cranston.
Heck yeah.
And there's going to be a second monster, so I really hope they get to fight.
I did not. Well, then again, hey,
I'm not sure who
you don't want to spill all the beans in the trailers, now do ya?
I'm not sure who it is, but I know that they fly. So this is going to be interesting.
I can only ever think of two Godzilla enemies that actually fly, at least that they've used. Mothra and that three-headed one, King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
That guy.
That's his mortal enemy.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it depends.
Watch you scratch that. There was one other one, kind of, sort of, in the form of Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, Mecha Godzilla. And but King Ghidorah is his primary enemy. And
yeah,
so
he's faced Ghidorah in more movies than pretty much any of the others.
I have a theory. If they're planning to make this movie a transitional movie to make it into a sequel,
like what Marvel's been doing.
Yeah, we'll
get into that later.
We'll get into that in another episode.
Yep.
And if they're planning to make it into a sequel, then they're not going to make this King Ghidorah. But if they're planning to just make this what it is and what it should be, just
on its own with not too much with no real sequel fuel,
then I think it could be King Ghidorah. But I feel like they don't want to limit themselves to that. You know?
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, besides, who knows? Maybe they'll have it be, assuming that this is Ghidorah, and assuming that they are assuming that they are planning that people are going to want to see a sequel to this, which, let's face it, they probably are. I mean, I know I am. But it's probably going to be where it's like right near the very end of the movie, and like right before the credits the end credits start rolling, King Ghidorah shows up, and he and Godzilla are in like this stare down, and then they and then they charge each other, and when they're about to make the first attack. Yep. Black screen.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
That would be wicked awesome.
But no, I'm looking forward to this movie. There's one thing I'm very curious about this movie though.
Pretty tough.
Is Godzilla going to breathe his laser beam fire thing?
like his trademark radioactive breath, I believe.
Because it's going to be very difficult for them to make it look realistic. Because I know that's what they're going for in this movie.
I know, and from what I've actually seen from the trailers and whatnot, like I said, this Godzilla is everything that the 1998 version should have been. Where it's like, yeah, they've changed it up a little bit, but for the most part, it really resembles the version of Godzilla from the original Japanese films from Toho.
And I'm looking forward to it. I won't be bummed out if he doesn't have the laser breath. Basically,
it's one of those things where it's like, it'd be cool if he had it, but it's no big deal if he doesn't.
I mean, I understand if they don't.
Because I mean, it's an adaptation. They gotta change things up a little.
Yeah. But I do like the poster that they have there.
Oh yeah, that Godzilla standing standing with his back towards us, in front of all that
It's got like the
destruction.
Chinese banner.
Yeah, and all
That's,
that stuff.
I gotta give
That
them
is
credit.
awesome.
I gotta give them credit. That is a very good way of them delivering the message that this is going back to the Japanese roots.
Yeah, and I mean, heck, even with the main title of the movie, they have the Japanese characters for Godzilla. At least I think they do.
Yeah.
Right smack behind it.
I don't read Japanese.
Hey, neither do I. But
I'm not that into Godzilla.
But so it's just so you can really tell that they're really trying to show that this is a radical departure from the last time America tried to make a Godzilla movie, and that this time they're going to be putting in every possible effort to get it right.
There's a lot of things that could go wrong with this movie, but from what the trailers have shown, I think it's going to be a good movie. I am worried. I'm very worried, though, that they are going to make me very disappointed by building it up and up and up, and they're not going to pay it off.
Oh, you mean like Stephen King?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like all of the trailers have been nothing but teaser trailers and just kind of
they've all really been kind of
video foreplay.
Yeah, they've really been playing up the three big elements that everyone's been looking at with this movie. Number one, Godzilla version 28, 29.0.
Yeah, something like that.
And Aaron Taylor Johnson, who most of us remember from that movie Kick-Ass, I think it was.
Yeah.
And of course Brian Breaking Bad Cranston.
He is on his way to being a hugely successful actor. If he plays,
he's not hugely successful already.
He's successful, but he's making the transition from hugely successful TV franchise
to a hugely successful movie, to a potentially hugely successful movie.
Depending on how this movie goes, I think it could make or break Bryan Cranston's role. He is starting to push a boulder that is his career.
Yeah, and I think this movie, if it goes right, could really be a huge shot in the arm for him to help him get the proverbial boulder rolling, I guess.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today.
Yep, Rooney.
But tune in on Monday. I'd say Monday.
Yeah, I would say so.
For our dual review of Godzilla.
For our team review of the new Godzilla movie.
And with that,
until next time.
Bye.
He's happy. I'm Specs. Anyway. Cool.